I'd say Flash games are a decent amount of anyone who's part of my generation's childhood. Fancy Pants Adventure, Henry Stick, Super Mario 63, yada yada yada. Regardless, it's kind of produced this shared experience I like seeing people relate to. Of course, everyone had their favourites, and one that's always stuck out to me is a little game series called Duck Life. Hi everyone, it's Datache, and I'm going to ramble at you against your will about a funny 20-year-old duck game series, or at least the first 4 games. If you like this video, do the like thing, and the subscribe thing, or else. Anyway, let's just get right into it. Duck Life 1 begins by reflecting the cruel reality of the recession, as our farm is in desperate need of money to stay afloat after a tornado destroyed it. Luckily for us though, with a little bit of illegal duck racing, we can get that money if our duck comes out on top. Don't know if you were expecting more twists and turns in this plot, but it is a Flash game. Speaking of which, we should probably talk about that whole game part. Duck Life is a game where you raise a duck and throw them into races to make money. The duck has 4 main stats you need to manage: running, swimming, and flying, determining the duck's speed on the land, in water, or the air respectively. And energy, determining how long your duck can run for in a race before they prove why they were always picked last in phys ed. If you're familiar with the Sonic Adventure games, you probably notice similarities between Duck Life and the Child Garden. Although, unlike in the Child Garden, instead of having your pets roar small animals to get stronger, you play unique mini-games for each stat. For example, running has you jump over logs, swimming has you jump over and dive under various obstacles, and flying has you try to maintain flight without hitting the top or the bottom of the screen for as long as possible. All pretty simple arcade stuff. Of course, on top of this, the minigames give you opportunities to grab coins, which can be used to buy seeds to raise your duck's max energy, all from different cosmetic items. You'll find yourself rinsing and repeating a cycle of grinding out minigames and heading into races, but eventually, after one last race against the world champion, you're rewarded with a crown and a shit ton of points, just in case you haven't unlocked it yet. Duck Life 1 is only about half an hour long, most of which is spent grinding out stats on minigames. Hell, you could cut out most of the playtime by skipping to the last race if you grind efficiently enough. But with 3 more games left to look at, it's only a matter of time until we see some dramatic improvement. Duck Life 2's plot is toxic masculinity. No, I will not elaborate. This game, at least on a surface level, isn't really that different from the first game, playing minigames to improve your stats so you do better in races. However, there were some improvements to the formula, with the flying minigame being tweaked to not suck, and a major addition, a new stat, climbing, tied to its own new minigame where you jump between 2 walls to avoid obstacles. The races play out pretty much the same, although I think the whole gameplay loop is better designed, since you have level caps locked behind beating certain races, which stops you just grinding the hell out of the game for a little bit and immediately beating the final race. Anyway, once you get to the end of the game, you're rewarded with the crown and money like last time, but also get a level editor, which I think is a nice touch. At the end of the day, I think Duck Life 2 was a pretty natural progression from the first game, even if a little forgettable, and a hell of a lot more enjoyable with that. But the next game is where things get kind of weird. Duck Life 3 decides to up the ante from illegal duck racing to illegal experimentation, with the introduction of genetically enhanced ducks to the rich Duck Life lore. At the beginning of this game, you're given a choice of 4 different ducks that have slight bonuses in different stats. After you make your choice though, the game plays basically like the other 2 games we've seen so far. You start out on the farm, and for the most part, everything is pretty par for the course, with some minor changes with the running and flying games. Running added a bouncing tennis ball as an obstacle, and flying became more about maintaining flight for as long as possible while collecting purple coins to stay afloat. However, it's when you beat the first tournament and head to London, the second major area of the game, that things start to get interesting. For one, alongside an increased level cap for all your stats, your duck has begun to evolve. and will continue to for the rest of the game, changing physically depending on what type you chose at the start of the game. On top of that, upon moving to this new area, advanced training is unlocked, with all the training minigames having small changes to mix up the difficulty. For example, running adds new platforms with different heights, and swimming adds new spike obstacles. Oh, and flying adds buildings as new obstacles. I freaking love this. It's a great solution to stopping grinding out the minigames feeling like I'm wasting my life as much as I actually am. Of course, this isn't the end. Once you beat London, you head on to professional training, with even more changes to the minigames. Running becomes an obstacle course that goes much faster. Swimming is in a cave which you have to avoid hitting the top or bottom of. Flying combines the two obstacle types from the previous two versions, and climbing adds goddamn lava that you have to outpace. By this point in the game, your duck is either looking like a Giga Chad or a monstrosity, and it's only about to get even more chaotic from here, as after beating Easter Island's tournament and maxing out every stat, your duck evolves one last time to become a Saiyan? Well, anyway, this leads to the final confrontation against the Supreme Duck, where you must defeat the enemy Domokuns. Yes, Domokun, the mascot of Japan's public broadcaster NHK Domokun. Did I fucking stutter? Like I was saying, you have to get rid of them by clicking on them to stop them from slowing you down. And just like that, Duck Life 3 comes to an end. The throne for the ultimate duck is yours. As an endgame reward, you can try out the other duck types, but even I respect my time enough to move on. So, I don't really know how to end this section, so subscribe. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of the last game of the original 4 Duck Life games, I want to note that this was the only one of the Duck Life games I hadn't beaten when I was younger. So I went into the second half of this game completely blind. Despite this though, Duck Life 4 is the game I definitely spent the most time with out of the original 4 as a kid. So I have a strong connection to it. Revisiting it is what prompted me to make this video in the first place. But that's enough rambling. Let's just get to the meat of the last game I'll be covering in this video. Duck Life 4 opens with some preamble about the ban of genetically modified ducks a year ago, and the rise of a new champion, who it looks like we're gonna have to dethrone. In our quest to clap the cheeks of this new hotshot, after a short tutorial we were introduced to the first area of the game, the farm. The only minigame available to us at the moment is running, but as you unlock each new area, you also unlock a new stats train. On top of this, there's a pretty hefty change to the formula, with each stat having 3 unique training minigames played back to back instead of just one. Because of this, I'm not going to list out all of the minigames because it will take forever, and this video is long enough as is. All you need to take from this is that 1, this game goes harder in providing more content, and 2, this makes the game way longer. I'll get to why I don't feel like this is necessarily a great thing later. Anyway, I wanted to go over some changes this game has. For one, a new stat by the name of jumping with its own set of 3 original minigames just like the others. The other is the ability to have multiple ducks. This is another one of those ways this game aims to extend its length. In the tournaments, your duck will have to participate in 3 back-to-back races, each time getting slower. However, if you get different ducks and assign them to each race, they won't be given that debug. You're able to buy eggs from the store to get new ducks with different patterns, but you have to train them from square one. This makes an already grindy game far grindier than necessary. Ultimately, even as a kid, I never really went this route and just grinded the hell out of one duck. At the very least it's not mandatory, but the game sure as hell wants you to be aware of this as an option. You see, coming back to what I said earlier, Duck Life games don't really benefit from length, in my opinion at least. The games are relatively simple and don't have the depth to maintain more than 1 or 2 hours of interest. So when the game is basically artificially lengthened, it gets frustrating quick. Mind you, if you're just slowly chipping away at it on a daily basis, you're likely going to get more out of it. I'm not about to discredit other playstyles, but regardless, I still think it's a decision that kinda harms the game. Anyway, no matter the playstyle, the endgame remains the same. After reaching the volcano and challenging the 3 ducks holding keys to a box, you're able to open it up revealing a button. Pressing this reveals a detonator which, when activated, blows up the volcano, revealing your final opponent. an entity only known as the Fire Duck. In this last race, Duck Life 4 decides to innovate by having actual gameplay in a race, beyond clicking on Domokun in Duck Life 3 anyway. You have to use the arrow keys to dodge obstacles in this final race, and once you make it to the goal, you can finally claim your deserved place as champion. The post-game bonuses are pretty much the same as usual: a crown, an arcade to replay minigames, and in this case, an egg that allows you to customize a duck however you like. And like that marks the end of the original 4 Duck Life games. You know, looking back across these games, there's something really ironic about being able to watch as games about training to improve your skills and reach your maximum potential slowly evolve over the years of each entry. Maybe that's why I liked playing through all of them as a kid in the first place. As for the series nowadays, even though you don't really see these games talked about, the latest entries have been decently successful. Oh, and if you're interested in going back and playing these games for whatever reason since Flash died, the original trilogy got re-released for phones and Steam as the Duck Life Retro Pack. Hell, Duck Life 4's also been available on those platforms for a while, although on there it's only called Duck Life. So if you want to go support the devs, you should go check those out. Or even the more recent Duck Life releases, which I might cover if you guys show enough interest in this video. Anyway, before I wrap this up, because this is getting long, I want to thank the Duck Life fandom wiki for being such a useful resource. It stopped me having to make a ton of notes from my footage. For now though, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.